Hello, everyone. Welcome back to NPHS Conversations. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. So, we're going to pull back the curtain on a role that is often behind the scenes, but it does have an enormous impact on our children and our families and our teachers. And that position is mine. It is the instructional coach, or the mentor coach, as we call it. So, let's dive in. I don't know if you've ever wondered who supports our teachers and who strengthens our classroom practices, or who turns the observational data into meaningful plans of growth. So this episode is for you if you've ever wondered those things. Even if you haven't, that is, you get to see a glimpse of what I do here at NPHS in a day-to-day or even just throughout the year. So let's dive into that. I have my trusty notes here. So at its core, and I'm speaking for Early Head Start, we do have a Head Start mentor coach or instructional coach that is just for our Head Start preschool classes. I myself am the coach for our center-based classrooms, our parent educators, which is our home base, the home visitors, and also we have child care partnerships. So I'm also the coach for their educational staff as well. So I'm not an evaluator. I'm not a supervisor. I'm more of a partner in growth for our teachers and we'll just say education staff, because there are more than just the traditional classroom teacher for the Early Head Start program. So our role is to strengthen the teaching practices. We're enhancing classroom quality, and ultimately that enhances our positive child outcomes. We operate with the understanding that when teachers feel supported, our children then thrive. So I work directly with our teachers, any floaters, our parent educators, and our child care partnership education staff. And my counterpart, she works with the teachers, and they have teaching assistants in the Head Start preschool program. So we're focused on supporting the adults so they can better support their children in their classrooms or in their home-based rosters. So what do I actually do? I can support in many ways. I'm going to break that down a little bit and just some of the things that I can do to help our education staff thrive and feel supported and trained well. So we have lesson planning. Each teacher, no matter the age of the child, everyone has to do lesson plans. Even for our infant classrooms, everyone has to do a lesson plan. So that ensures that everything is developmentally appropriate. We are using intentional teaching strategies, and for Early Head Start, each individual child has their own section of a lesson plan. So they're working on the things that they need to work on specifically. It is individualized to the child's needs, each child in that classroom. So, and we align our lesson plan templates to reflect our school readiness goals and to reflect that we are using our curriculum correctly, in which the way it was intended. Another way that I can support or train is classroom setup and environment. So our environment matters very much so, especially with our youngest kids. So what does that mean? So the way that we set up the classroom has a science to it. You know, we want quiet areas to be separate from our block areas. Just so, and the reading area would stay in the quiet area. So we're separating it if some of these children need to have a quieter time and these children need to be able to be a little more physical. We separate those. So each child is getting what they need, but they're not impeding on each other. So we're working on clear learning centers, effective room arrangement to where we're not having those quiet areas and loud areas together. We're using intentional visual supports. Our visual schedules are very helpful, especially for our youngest groups. You can point to the picture and they understand they're eating breakfast, they're getting their diaper changed, they're moving on to free play. And that we carry that into our Head Start preschool classrooms as well. The visual schedules are very important. The more the child is in their routine and in that structure, the more they thrive. So we're using those intentional visual supports. We are ensuring the emotional safety and predictability are there in the room. A well-designed classroom really does reduce behaviors and it increases engagement. So we're having less behaviors because our children are actively doing something. It's not just idle hands all day. It's not just we're not playing all day long. Yes, we're learning through play, and that's very important. But we have structured days, and that helps reduce the challenging behaviors because we are constantly moving according to the needs of our children. So another thing that I can do to support our classrooms or our parent educators is to model. And sometimes the best way to learn is to see it done. So modeling is very effective. I could model like a small group. Maybe it's an art project or demonstrating redirection strategies or leading a morning meeting or some call it a circle time. How we're scaffolding play and practicing language. That could look like you're helping a child stack blocks. Well, now we're going to count the blocks and we're going to say the colors of the blocks. And then we're going to say where the blocks are. The yellow block is at the top. The blue block is on the bottom. We're really expanding those language techniques. Another way is classroom management. So we use conscious discipline in both our early Head Start and Head Start preschool classrooms. And that's our social emotional framework as well as our classroom management techniques. We are heavily trained and continue throughout the year to support the training of conscious discipline for all of our education staff. It is actually the coaching focus for our early Head Start educational staff. So that could look like practicing empathy building language, helping teachers implement routines, supporting the safe place development. The safe place in conscious discipline is where the children can go to calm their bodies, calm their minds. It's a quiet area, so we can help support using the safe place correctly. Reframing challenging behaviors, composing ourselves, just modeling that we ourselves as adults are composing ourselves before trying to engage with a child who's having a hard time. So the conscious discipline focuses more on that deep connection, that regulation, and we're building the skills. We're adding more tools to the toolbox so these children can then slowly but surely be able to regulate themselves and even problem solve with friends or siblings, what have you. So we don't focus on punishment. We focus on how we get that connection built, how we get that regulation moving, and building those skills. Schedules. So schedules are so important. And in early Head Start, our schedules, they look the same every day. But some days we're not going to be able to read the book or finish the circle time because our friends need to move on. And that's okay. That's part of early childhood education, is moving with the needs of our children. So, I can help with creating the schedule, which would just be adequate transitions. We really protect that uninterrupted play because that's really the meat where we're learning and they're getting their brains and their bodies ready for the next step. We adjust routines based on the child's needs, and that is the pinnacle. That's one of the very first things that we say to our teachers is, yes, the schedule and routine is very important, but if it's not happening, it's not happening, and that's okay. We want you to move on with the needs of your classroom. We do our best to reduce any possible downtime because that leads to behaviors. We don't want the idle hands. We want expectations to be very clear and strong that, we're doing this first. We have first than boards that we give so they can see the picture. First, we're doing circle time, and then we're going to use the potty. So we try to keep as structured as possible. Some days it doesn't happen, and that's okay. Some days are better than others, and some days they want to read 4 books. So we really just keep it as fluid as possible, but do our best to stay on schedule and on routine. So, and another thing that I can help with, just being that extra support. Somebody needs some extra hands, some extra eyes. There's just a rough day, the classroom's having a Monday and they just need somebody to step in for a minute. I am happy to do that. I love being in our classrooms. It is one of my favorite parts of my job, and I love hanging out with the kids and seeing what they're doing and seeing them grow, honestly, from classroom to classroom, and it's so fun to see the growth that happens. I can help with challenging behaviors, or sometimes transitions are really hard. Walking to the gross motor room or walking to the playground. Sometimes that extra set of hands is all you need to get there without it taking a long time. And I am happy to do those. Just being that extra set of hands, or just being in the room, sometimes helps a teacher be able to regulate and feel like they're able to move on. And just trying to be responsive and support and be in the classroom when they need me. Moving on to something that is very near and dear to my heart, something that I very much enjoy, is professional development and training. So I don't just support individuals. Instructional coaches really strengthen an entire program, because the professional development and training that comes with having an instructional coach strengthens the entire program. So something I enjoy is creating those trainings or workshops that are based off of the needs of our education staff. It is tailored to what they're telling us that they need, and that is, in my opinion, very beautiful and very rare. It's not just a training to have a training, it's something that's specific to what education staff says that they need. That could be anything. We're doing conscious discipline right now. That's what we are training on in our coaching focus. So each month we break down one skill of conscious discipline, and that's implemented into practice every day in the classrooms. So it keeps our staff both well informed, and it's fresh in their mind because monthly they are getting the information and they are building upon the skills that they've already that they already have. So I think that's wonderful, and it's not common to have as much training and professional development than what we offer. We offer a lot. All right, so data collection. What does that mean for us? It, in my opinion, one of the most important aspects of my role as a coach is data. So for Early Head Start, we have 2 formal observations that we conduct. One is called Tippy Toes. That is teacher-child interactions, engagement, emotional support, instructional practices, and inclusion strategies. And the other one is called Fidelity, and that is more curriculum-based. Are we using the curriculum the way that is intended and the way that it is designed? Are our conscious discipline practices authentic? Is it being used in the classrooms? And everything we use is research-based. So we have the research and the science to back up our curriculum and our observations that they are effective. So why do we collect data? If I'm not an evaluator, why am I using data? So it's not to score our teachers, because that's not the way that we do things. It is helpful when we're trying to determine our coaching focuses for the year. It highlights our strengths as well as gives us our areas of growth. This can help us drive our school readiness goals, and also, like I was saying about our professional development and training, it helps us to inform what those trainings need to look like and what the topics are, and it's our jumping off point to meeting the needs of our education staff. So to wrap this up a bit, of like what does this look like when I do my job well? So it should look like teachers are feeling supported and not judged by me. I should be only a support to them. I'm not the evaluator. I'm not the supervisor. It should look like our classrooms are running more smoothly. It should look like our children are experiencing stronger connections with their teachers or their home visitors. It's looking like our school readiness goals are intentional and targeted, and that our training and professional development are aligning with that. It looks like our program is moving forward and towards continuous quality improvement. It looks like the coach bridges the gap between compliance and excellence. So if I'm taking the regulations and the frameworks and the standards and I'm giving all of those to our teachers, that should translate into real life practice in our classrooms. So to wrap this all up in a pretty little bow, an instructional coach or a mentor coach, we wear a lot of hats. We're mentors, we're trainers, we analyze data, we're a model teacher, we're problem solvers, we're cheerleaders for our teachers and our education staff, but most importantly, we're advocating for our children. Above all, we're the champions for high quality early childhood education. You know, when we're investing in our teachers, that means we're investing in our children. And if we're investing in our children, we're changing communities in a positive way. And I mean, what more could you ask for? So I want to thank you for joining me into our deep dive of what I do on the daily here at NPHS. I thank you for joining me. I hope this was helpful. And if you did find it helpful, please share this with an educator, an administrator, or a fellow early childhood professional. And until I see you next time, I hope you keep growing, you keep reflecting, and you keep putting the children first. Thanks. Have a great day.